Let's zero in a little bit more now in this segment about Trump's utterly insane choice to get rid of the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who are tasked with figuring out each month what's the state of the U.S. jobs market. And one of the things they do is that right after a month, they give us a report, a preliminary report on how many jobs were gained and what industries, where were they lost. And then they circle back as they get more data and they correct it. And so what we saw was that in the latest jobs report, last month was a little weak, came in under expectations, but even more concerningly, 200 plus thousand jobs over the 2 months before that were revised down. And so the jobs market was even weaker than we previously thought. That's what they're supposed to do. And that's what they did. And Trump fired the head for that. And I want to show you one of these outdoor interviews where he's sort of just shouting at reporters as they ask him questions. I'll play this clip on the subject itself, and then he tries to justify it, and his brain just leaks.
Why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th.
Okay, this is actually the part. I didn't realize it was all in this one clip. Watch. So he's saying, I removed her because I didn't like the numbers. So because his economy is now known to be weaker than he wanted us to think, he fired the person, the messenger. He literally, what's the phrase? Don't shoot. He shot the messenger. All because he wants authoritarian control over even what we know about our own economy. But as he's justifying it, he mixes up jobs and dollars.
She had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers.
She apparently revised down the jobs numbers by $800,000. We had $800,000 less jobs. He meant to say jobs. Now, take yourself to that headline. He's correct-ish, except for he's completely lying, which is that we did see in 2024 a huge revision down that still, after assessing all of that, had a much stronger jobs market than what Trump is turning it into. But this headline from the New York Times, U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than reported earlier. And again, under Biden, under Trump, under whoever, they revised down. He worded it like the jobs market was faked to look stronger and then revised down after he got into office. But let's look at the date of when this news article came out. August 2024. So months before the election. And we got this correction. So he's just lying. This actually would be making Biden and Kamala look bad at a critical juncture in the election cycle. But they still put out those numbers to revise down to correct the record. So he just, obviously lies through everything that he's saying. And then he gets asked, and again, this is not a conspiracy. It's that with the sheer magnitude of data you have to collect right after a month is over, you're obviously going to get an initial assessment. And as you gather more data, sometimes that'll alter the assessment. And that's what they've been doing all of the time. And now he's upset with it because it made him look bad in his mind. He was asked, how will people know if you're now going to switch people out and put loyalists into these stats roles if the numbers they're getting are accurate?
If any government official going forward is presenting data or information you don't like, should they fear for their job?
I've always had a problem with these numbers. I was thinking about it this morning. Before the numbers that came out, I said, who is the person that does these numbers? And then they gave me stats about before the election. I had a similar problem. She gave out numbers that were so good for the Democrats. It was like unbelievable. And then right after the election, she corrected those numbers with...
Again, number one, I don't know why they can't just hold these pressers inside before he leaves and they have to have him shouting over the helicopter. Number two, look at the date. Again, look at the date. He's just lying. This would have hurt Kamala/Biden.
I think almost 900,000 corrections. I think nobody had ever seen anything like it. Well, today she did the same thing with the 253,000, whatever the number was. No. We need people that we can trust. I mean, your question is a very good one. We need people we can trust.
And that wasn't the clip I was thinking of, but that is relevant as well. Let me show you, because this is just a crazy admission. Trust numbers. When a reporter asks, well, then how can they trust what it is that they're getting?
On the monthly jobs report, going forward, why should anyone trust the numbers?
Well, that's the big thing. You're right. No, you're right. Why should anybody trust numbers? You go back to election.
And he keeps repeating the same lie just about. Isn't that wild? Because he kept saying that. I was like, oh, that's kind of, still doesn't make his point reasonable, but that's kind of unfortunate timing that the numbers look better, and then after the election they corrected them, and then you realize they did it before, long before. But whatever. He gets asked, how can anyone trust if you're going to switch out people to give the numbers you want that aren't necessarily accurate, and you admitted it's just because you don't like the numbers? How can they trust? And he goes, you're right. Probably not hearing the question while he's been struggling with his hearing lately, but going, how can we trust the numbers? No, that's not what you're supposed to say. As we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. So much more to discuss, including economist Justin Wolfer saying firing the BLS commissioner, the wonk in charge of the statisticians who track economic reality, is an authoritarian four-alarm fire. It will also backfire. You can't bend economic reality, but you can break the trust of markets, and biased data yields worse policy. He also said, nothing makes sense, but I'll add this anyway. When preliminary payrolls numbers overestimated job growth under Biden and were later revised down, Trumpland claimed this was the BLS trying to prop up the president. Today, he interpreted it as the BLS is trying to undermine him. It's so incoherent. Even Kevin O'Leary, who has been a huge Trump cheerleader recently, is going, this is not good.
We're used to volatility. We had a bad print on jobs. I did not agree on whacking the commissioner. I don't like that. Whacking statisticians makes no sense whatsoever. You don't shoot the messenger. They used to do that in ancient Rome. Bad news, they kill the guy off the horse. You don't need to do that now. It doesn't matter. This is a job where you just print data. So I didn't like that story.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kevin. Then our boy Mark Wayne Mullen is justifying this.
What we did here is make America great moving forward to the next generation, allowing people to have stability in a regulatory environment, stability and security.
In a what environment? Hey?
Has stability in a regulatory environment,
Regulatory. Reggae.
Stability and security, stability in taxes, and that's an environment that investors want to invest in. That's why you're seeing our GDP grow by at an average of 3%. That's why you're seeing inflation.
Average of 1.2 since Trump got in office.
Go down. And by the way, this individual that is no longer over the numbers for job reports that was appointed by Biden, keep in mind she's also the individual that was putting out the fake job reports when Biden was in office. And remember, at the end of their term, they had to go in and revise them, and she missed the reports by hundreds of thousands of positions. So she should have been removed.
She didn't miss it. She oversaw numerous statisticians, a complex process of giving a preliminary report right after a month, and then a more detailed one and a corrected one after a few months, like they've always done. But you know what? Let's say we agree with Mark Wayne. Who the hell would have picked or approved such a person for this position? Mark Wayne Mullen. He voted to confirm her. It's just, there's always something. There is always something. Then CNN had a debate about this, and for some reason they are now doing on Fridays, like they're in a kitchen set, and then there's people just loitering around, just standing around, not in seats, just kind of watching. I guess they're supposed to look like they're eating or something, but watch this set. It's very fascinating.
And I want us to really take a beat on this. I don't think the question at all is whether Donald Trump can do this. The question is whether he should. You know, Lance is trying to make this about the revisions and whether it's accurate and whether she's doing a good job or not. Donald Trump was super clear. He didn't like her number, so he fired her. He said that. So the question is, do we want a president who doesn't like the numbers and then fires the people that gives it to them? Is that what you want this country to look like?
So we want the numbers to be accurate, right? I think everyone sitting here wants the numbers to be accurate.
Is there any evidence that the numbers are not accurate?
Is it wrong? I mean, you said it earlier. Is it wrong to be questioning the numbers? Is it wrong to try to get someone to do better?
So again, I'm totally distracted. It's kind of fun. I kind of like it, but there's like a Food Network sign and there's someone cooking behind them and they're in a kitchen. They're in a kitchen for this discussion. What is this? It's kind of cool because it's like just around, we're talking about the kitchen table issues and we're out in like the kitchen bar maybe. I don't know.
Wrong to try to get someone to do better?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I don't ask those questions, but he has the right to put the person in there who he thinks is going to do the best job.
It's fine to question. It's fine. Anybody can ask questions. It's fine to question things. But don't you think you ought to have actual evidence of wrongdoing before you claim that it is rigged against you?
Can I bring this back to executive power again?
No, you actually cannot. Because this has nothing to do with executive power. It's not about executive power. It's about whether or not is there any information that can be presented to President Trump that is negative about him.
You know what was presented to President Trump with this?
Yes, I do, because it was published to the entire world at 8:30 a.m. this morning. Yeah, the numbers are.
Yeah, that's brutal. And there's just people staring behind. There's just a crowd of people behind. That's such a funny. We got to spice up our set, Cole. I need just people staring like this, just watching as they like get handed a plate of beef Wellington, like just as they eat. I just want them to stand around. I have actually thought about that idea. This is so weird, but like in the studio, this room wouldn't work, but like getting a really big room and then putting a glass where like you can see him but I can't see out situation, and then audience members can like raffle to win a ticket to come and just like stand behind the glass and watch. It's like I don't know who's back there, so I can't overthink it, but like anybody can come and watch as we do the show. And if I get something wrong and scream terrible words that we're gonna edit out later, y'all can catch it all. It'd be great. But that was so funny. She said, all right, take it away from the argument of does he have the legal right? All right, he fires her, fine, but that's not the debate. Should he have? And he goes, well, he can. No, we know he can. Should he? Well, she didn't do a good job. What evidence do you have? You don't need evidence. Trump has the right. We know. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk is focused on really what we should have our eyes set on in a moment like this, which is that he believes high T means Republican.
I do think that there is a direct correlation between someone's testosterone and their politics. I would love to have a study done on this. On young men, the lower their testosterone, the more likely they are to be Democratic. Democrats are not going to be able to win over high testosterone men because they're too self-directed. So differently, the lower your testosterone is, the more likely you are going to be subservient and compliant.
Yeah, and Charlie exudes high testosterone to me. To me, he does. So it fits so far.
Our republic needs alpha men.
So, in Charlie Kirk's world, high T means manliness, rebellion, and maybe a MAGA hat. Low T, and you're apparently lining up for your 9th booster and asking the government to tuck you.
Aw, that's funny. Let me tell you a story just to refute that. And that might actually be true. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there's something with testosterone and like a lack of empathy. But not for everyone. For me, I'll tell you the story 1 second. Okay, so I went to the doctor. I said, Doc, his name was Ronnie Jackson. And I said, Ronnie, hit me up with a cognitive test. People are questioning my cognition. Hit me up with a cognitive test. And he did. And he had me, do these different things like sex toy, coal, cowboy hat. And then I had to repeat them, and I nailed it. And he was like, "We've never seen anybody remember these words like you did." And then they got tricky. They put a rhino, and if I knew what it was, but like that's tough. I haven't seen many rhinos. Then that question was correct. And I aced it. I aced the test. And I said, well, okay, I do my cognitive test, but I feel like people will question sometimes the way I do my hand motions, or like some rumors that are around about me, or things that I've said about myself, or the entire way that I act and everything about my being, that people might question the level of testosterone that I have. So could I take a testosterone test too? And he said, of course. And I took it, and it you would think it's like a medical test, like taking some blood or something. No. All I had to do was just punch one grandma. It was weird. I'd never really experienced, and I was like, easy, punched a grandma. It wasn't my grandma. I would never punch my grandma, but just a random grandma. And then I was like, but I've never heard of that being the test. Could you give me like an actual one? So he did it, whatever the correct scientific thing, he did it. And literally, I aced it. I don't know what that means, but he said I aced it. And he said he'd never seen a testosterone test like that. And that I have higher testosterone than Mike Tyson at his peak. He said that I make JJ Watt, my football references are a little out of date, JJ Watt look like a schoolgirl in my testosterone levels. He said that if he actually wanted to study me, weirdly, and he said that my dad, it's strange that my dad could have had a kid who quintupled his testosterone levels. And my dad has great testosterone levels, off the charts. And then he said, probably to make you a healthier adult, we would have to decrease your testosterone levels by anywhere from 500 to 800 to 1200%. Do the math on that one. So I just wanted to tell that story because I think it refutes what Charlie says. I do love when they do testosterone like arguments, because fine, I'm telling you, a lot of times like real manly men who probably have high, does that show up like that? Is that how testosterone rolls? Whatever. They end up being more like, a lot of them are Republicans, so maybe there's something there, but that could not be for the right reasons, you know? It could be for a side effect of testosterone. And then the people arguing that is like Charlie Kirk and Benny Johnson and like Trump, who has makeup all over his face. It's like, are y'all Stephen Miller? Is that who really exudes a male man to you? I don't know. Not to me, but that's something else. Share your thoughts in the comments.